Hi guys, and welcome back to Crypto Scoop FM. I'm your host DJ RSC, and lots of exciting things have happened in the market in the past week. I was away. I was taking a short break because too much of markets, and now I'm all energized and come back. And as I was holidaying, quote unquote, I saw that Bitcoin hit a new all-time high. Ethereum came very close to it, hitting its all-time high. But then we had the news of PPI being way over the forecasted number, and the entire market reacted rather abruptly to this. And so now you have so-called gurus on crypto Twitter and on YouTube claiming the cycle is over, or I don't know if they're joking or whatever it is, but you know how things are. I feel the cycle is still intact. Of course, do we or would we have rate cuts? I don't know. I think it's important to distinguish between PPI and CPI. And Ben Cohen actually made a great video on this, and I'll link it at the bottom, which you should definitely check out. He released it earlier today, where he was essentially explaining how the wholesale price inflation, which is the upstream inflation that the producer of goods bears on the raw material, may or may not be trickling down to the consumers, which is CPI. So CPI was fairly within range, right? 2.72 versus the market estimate of 2.7. I still feel there is going to be at least a 25 basis points rate cut, but we'll see. We'll see, right? We can't front run the market and just do our guesswork. But in any case, I think Bitcoin is still holding strong at 117,737. I think it looks pretty good. Ethereum also, is still kind of holding its ground at like 4,400, which is pretty good. It clearly broke off that long-term trend line from from the all-time highs. So I think we are ready for that push up, because the story is still intact, right? And what is the story? Digital asset treasury companies are buying. Tom Lee has announced that he's going to buy $20 billion, or at least he's trying to raise up to $20 billion and snag 5% of Ethereum supply. So that can be that I can't construe it as anything but extremely bullish overall market. All right. So having said that, today I'm bringing you a few coins that I think are very well positioned in this rally. I'm sure in one of my previous videos I covered Syrup, which is the utility, governance, and native token of Maple Finance. For those of you who don't know what Maple is they describe themselves as on-chain asset managers, but in reality they're basically just providing private credit access to institutions on-chain. So that's basically fall into the real-world asset ecosystem. I think if you look at the entire narrative, all the way from Genius Act passing, bringing legitimacy to stablecoins, to now the market structure bill or a clarity bill, which is currently under discussion, which will bring even more structural framework, to SEC coming up with their project crypto. And I know, the SEC chair Paul Atkins was scheduled to speak earlier today. I'm yet to watch his video, but I'll give a commentary on it later once I hear. But basically, the idea behind Project Crypto is to provide this very clear framework around how crypto will be treated in the US, right? And how they intend to make America the crypto capital of the world, because that is what the administration is all trying to do. There was one other news that came in the weekend that kind of got me thinking, but I don't think it's anything new. But it was basically, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent going to CNBC or some news channel, I can't remember exactly which one, and saying that I'm meaning America, has no plans of setting up, of buying Bitcoin for the strategic business Bitcoin reserve. I think that did send a little bit of a shock to some folks, but it was always on the cards. I mean, it's no surprise for me, because I always thought they are not going to buy, use tax dollars to buy Bitcoin. I mean, anyway, they're up to their eyeballs, or like, I mean, not even their eyeballs, like they're way beyond their eyeballs into debt. They're paying almost $1 trillion in interest every year, which is almost $1 trillion, which is huge if you think about it. So like creating more burden either in terms of selling more treasuries to buy Bitcoin or to raise taxes to buy Bitcoin would both be unacceptable, choices. So they will have to come up with, figure out a better way to build this strategic Bitcoin reserve. But that did spook the markets a little bit. Anywho, lots of interesting things that happened in the markets over the weekend. But today, guys, I am going to talk about what I feel is the one of the most interesting opportunities in a while in crypto, and that is real world assets, guys. Right? So I'm going to start, and I'm going to start with this little industry report that was published about 2 months back by Redstone. And they basically outlined what has happened to the world of real world assets in the last like 6 months. And I just want to take you through a couple of takeaways. I'm not going to go through the entire report. I will leave a link to this at the bottom of my video. So if you do want to check it out, please go through it. Feel free to. But very quickly, right? The first point is real world asset tokenization is all set to explode. It has already exploded. It's gone from 5 billion in 22 to 25 billion, and this excludes stable coins, right? What they are projecting is that 10 to 30%, guys, of global assets could be tokenized by between 2030 and 34. So this already positions RWAs as a bridge to bring TradFi assets on chain, which is almost like worth $400 trillion. That's like 130x over crypto's current market cap of now. I mean, this is slightly older report, of course. Now it's close to 4.4 trillion now. Right, so that's the big opportunity with real world assets. Now, we've already seen a lot of experiments. You have BlackRock, you have Apollo, you have Franklin Templeton. They're all doing their own little experiments, trying to build tokenized, treasuries or other solutions. You have BlackRock, JP Morgan, Apollo, all trying to kind of do these experiments, which is kind of creating a nice catalyst for RWAs to grow on chain. And now the big unlock, right? The big unlock, because so far what was happening is you have a build like the BlackRock build, which is nothing but a tokenized treasury fund. That had, all they are doing is basically they're minting a token on chain, which is a wrapped digital version, or a synthetic derivative of sorts, which is tracking the real treasury bill that they're holding off chain. Right, this is what the model is. But I can't do anything with this token. Like it is a great token. It gives me like the flexibility of maybe lower costs. But the real unlock of crypto with RWAs is you have to ask why, right? Why do I tokenize? Okay, I can tokenize anything. I can tokenize this bottle of water. I can tokenize, like, I don't know, this phone. But why do I tokenize all of these things? It has to do something. And that doing something is decentralized finance. Because think about it, for the last 4 or 5 years, what is the experiment that we are trying to build with decentralized finance? That, okay, you have all of these different crypto tokens that we have created, and you can create yield opportunities around it based on the demand and supply and the tokenomics of these tokens. And that's the real unlock, right? So those traders in the market who so far basically use DeFi to manage alternative yield positions for their portfolio, they can now tap into this growing institutional credit ecosystem and tap into much more safer yields. And DeFi will allow you to do that. So there are many protocols. They mention a few, like Athena, Maple. We spoke about that earlier, and I'll cover it in a little more depth later. Spark, Morpho, Pendle, Drift Institutional. We'll cover that as well. Camino. These are all like DeFi protocols, which are trying to provide like DeFi liquidity and DeFi yield markets in a compliant setting, and that's the real unlock with RWA tokenization, guys. Right? So the biggest sector or subsector which is emerging in the RWA space, I'm not talking about stablecoins, because even stablecoins are digital representation of the fiat dollar, which is kept in a bank. I'm not counting that. That's almost $250 billion. I'm only looking at every other real world asset category apart from stables. And in that, private credit is the largest, which is basically, right now around $14-15 billion. What happens here is you have let's say I have crypto assets. I will go to Maple Finance. I will deposit that crypto asset. And then what they'll do is they'll do over collateralized loans to institutions. So these institutions are, crypto hedge funds or market makers, those kind of institutions. And basically against these collaterals, against the collateral, basically people can borrow on the other side, right? So that's how it works. I was looking at some data as well very quickly. And so the overall market now stands at 26.6 billion. There are 355,000 holders. Small numbers, but still relevant given the size of this industry. And if you look at the breakdown, then private credit, as the report said, is around $16 billion of this market, followed by US Treasury debt or Treasury bills. Then you have commodities, which is about $1.8 billion. You have institutional alternative funds, and then you have non-US government debt. This is basically Euro debt and stuff like that. There's also, other things in the outliers. There's stocks, there's also corporate bonds coming in. In terms of the RWA league table, I really like this. If you see the breakdown, Ethereum kind of leads the pack with almost $7.5 billion of RWAs tokenized. And also, although by RWA count, I think Polygon is number one. Yes, they are. But in terms of total value, it's just 20x, almost 20x bigger than Polygon, right? Solana is also very interesting. Solana is currently sitting at almost $500 million with 80 RWA projects. And I think Solana is going to be a big horse, like a powerhouse of on-chain tokenization. They're basically going to be one of the strongest leaders into the space, alongside, I think, Arbitrum, Polygon, and Ethereum. So keep an eye on projects across these 3 or 4 ecosystems, which I think are very, very interesting. There are many different kind of assets, as you can see. There's Securitize, which is one of the larger RWA tokenized compliant protocols. Tether has their Tether Gold. You have Paxos with Paxos Gold. Ondo has a bunch of Treasury, US Treasury related assets. So they have the Ondo short-term US government bond fund. They have the Ondo US dollar yield, which is the yield coin, right? Circle also offers something similar. So you can already see there's a bunch of different US Treasury, government debt. There is also stock. There's Exodus, which has issued their tokenized their Class A shares, and almost $240 million of market cap right now. And a bunch of other institutional funds and stuff like that. So this is where the opportunity is right now. I feel it's very, very interesting. And now I'm going to show you a bunch of different tokens that I feel are just ready to rip for the rally in 2025 whenever it comes, given the undercurrents of Genius Act, given the undercurrents that of SEC trying to build Project Crypto, given the undercurrents of clear regulatory rules, global adoption of real-world assets. Investors are going to look at this as a hot sector. And to give you some perspective on this, one of the best performing tokens, and actually, let me actually see if Blockchain Center, they have a very interesting chart. But let me open the chart actually for you guys. So between, April and to the peak in June, end of June, this token rallied 585%. There were a bunch of different drivers which was making this happen. But I feel like foundationally, what this showed me basically was the key deep interest that the crypto market has right now for real world asset coins. And setup after this incredible rise has now seen a pullback. So It's kind of corrected now to the levels of 41 cents from 62, so that's like a 34% drop. I have marked some buy ranges for you. I still think this could go way up, further up, because there's momentum to this coin, and of course there's going to be profit taking. You never want to have a chart which is just green only, because if that's the case, it's just either driven by cabal or madmen. So this is actually a good chart because it rallied, right? People took profits when they wanted to, and then there was a sharp drop, right? From June 27 till July 21. So over a month, it got correction. Then there was another rally. If you go look at the WIG, it created a new high, 67 cents, dropped to almost 38 cents, then rallied again to 53, and then down again. So this is a good chart because it shows incredible momentum, but you never know how the market will play out, right? I don't know if this is going to go up or down, but do I know fundamentally they are doing well? Well, let's find out, right? So let's go to Maple. Let's see what they're up to, how the numbers look like. So if I look at Maple right now, and I was, before you guys, before just recording, I was having a quick check-in. So they're managing around $3.3 billion of assets. They're trusted by like really large organizations. They have a bunch of different products. They have Syrup USDC, which competes with Athena and Ondo's SUSD and other products, offering you a yield coin. You have over collateralized loans. You have they're offering you a bunch of different like earning opportunities based on interest. And if you look at the Syrup token, they've started doing Syrup buybacks. So it reduces the supply of Syrup tokens in the market, which is very good. Another good thing that I like about Syrup is there's no supply overhang. Almost all of the tokens are in circulation, so there is no unlock which will like Athena. The only reason I don't like Athena, I love the protocol, but the reason I don't like it is because huge unlocks for Athena. So if there is a project which has such incredibly crazy unlocks, I don't want to hold it on my spot portfolio. I might trade it. Actually, I'm okay to trade them, but I want to hold them, right? So that's one. So Maple is the first coin that I wanted to show you. Now, another one which I think is very extremely interesting right now is Ondo. And Ondo, guys, have a bunch of different products. I've already shown you they have the OUSG, which is, their tokenized short-term US treasuries. They are now coming up with Ondo Global Markets, which give people access to tokenized stocks, ETFs, and bonds on-chain, right? They have Flux, which is borrowing and lending with tokenized assets. This is exactly what Syrup is also doing. They're coming up with Nexus, which offers instant mint and redeem opportunities to, asset issuers, basically, companies like BlackRock and others who want to tokenize. Then they have their Ondo chain and institutional grade RWA chain and stuff like that. So very, very incredible. They actually wrote a very cool article on Wall Street. What they term is Wall Street 2.0, and basically, long story short, what they're saying is the big unlock that RWAs do is they provide access. They provide access to investors to global assets, 24/7, 365 markets, better rates, instant settlements for asset managers. This brings better and efficient fund distribution. Global reach, easier global compliance, and for devs you are able to create then these kind of like DeFi yield opportunities, which are really, really cool. So what I like about Ondo is if you look at the transaction count against for Ondo, it's almost 700,000 transactions in the last 1 year. And of the real world asset issuer landscape, which includes like Midas, Denari, Swarm, and others, it pretty much holds like 80% of the market share, which is like really, really cool. Also, in terms of monthly active addresses, I think it's pretty decent at 30,000, which is kind of trending up now, which is nice to see. Again, 85% of the market share there as well. And so yeah, even on the price chart, if you look at the price chart, this is an ideal chart for me. Why? It rose, correction, rose, distribution, rose, Then it corrected again. So it gave multiple opportunities for people to come in and go out, and still showed strength. And then it rose. It did this upside in December, and went from how much was it? At like the low of 4th November, it was 58 cents. And then it kind of went to almost $2, which is like smart 250% in like 40 days. And since then it has kind of corrected. It did rally a little bit, but it's still kind of trading around this liquidity range where I feel is the the range where the price won't drop below. Because if you say every time the price dropped below, it very quickly kind of converged in this range somehow. Even here there was a lot of accumulation in this range, a lot of accumulation in this range, and a breakout happened, then a breakout happened. So this is also acting as a support range for it, and it has to cleanly break it out and go to this level. But I'm very comfortable entering Ondo at at its current price of 97 cents. I think my first target for it is obviously its all-time high, or maybe we can go a little lower, maybe at like $1.73. Even at $1.73, guys, from the current price, it gives me how much? Almost $1.73 is right here. So that's an 80%, which is a very sweet return if you think about it. But I think Ondo is onto something. The fundamentals look very, very good. And the token is just getting started, guys. So great entry at this price. What else will I say? Now, the third token that I want to talk about is Drift. Now, Drift is often compared with Hyperliquid. They're both into the perp DEX trading landscape. But recently, Drift has started another category or a project which is called Drift Institutional. And what Drift Institutional does is it offers a white glove service which helps institutions to bring RWAs on chain and onto the Solana DeFi ecosystem, which by far is doing incredibly well in terms of DEX volumes and other things. And so this is the first of a kind pool. They did it with Apollo, right, which is one of the largest institutional funds out there, to offer a tokenized credit fund, right? And so what this does is basically it creates credit-based lending, which was previously reserved for like private deals. It unlocks this market on chain via their infrastructure and opens it up. And so what it does is it offers like folks who are looking for better yields on Drift. So I think Drift is also very, very good. Cindy, who's one of the co-founders of Drift Protocol, she said Solana DeFi is slowly penetrating the mainstream institutional audience. And Drift was recently featured by Bloomberg as well, which is read by the boomer crowd for major transactions this year as direct and transparent alternative to centralized exchanges with assets secured now at 385 million. So this was posted like a couple of almost a year back. So, almost a year back. So we can already see a lot of change has happened since. I think the latest TVL, if you look at what Drift's TVL is, so if I go to DeFi Llama, let's quickly look at what Drift is up to right now. I think it should be way more, because more than $1 billion of Drift. More than $1 billion of trading is happening, but Drift overall, guys, 1.2 billion. So May last year, when she was talking about this, somewhere around here, 370 million, it's already gone like 4x, almost 3x from that number, already trading at its all-time high, making about $50 million in annualized fees and $25 million in annualized revenues, guys. So it's also a cash generating project, right? Which is really, really great. Great. Also, if you look at the token unlocks, I think again, great project. No major unlocks coming anytime soon. I think almost all of the tokens are unlocked as well, which I like very, very much. And also, in terms of the token price right now, if you look at the token price action, it rose quite a bit in November-December rally, and it's currently trading at about 53 cents, which is still higher than its 50-day moving average. And I think this is just heating up right now. Again, very, very good project, cash generating, has tokenized Apollo's ACRED product, brought it into DeFi to bring additional yield. these are great innovations if you think about it. And so I think Drift not only gives you access to this institutional play, but also gives you access to the perp dex play, which is happening where people are trying to figure out like, okay, Hyperliquid has already become this $40 billion FTV behemoth. Who is next? And all eyes are on the Solana ecosystem, guys. There's Bullish, which just did their IPO. I think, I don't know what the current market cap is, but they did incredibly well. Drift is another competitor. And if I was also looking at Drift volumes, I think they are incredibly well. So Maple, Ondo, and Drift. These would be my top 3 RWA bets for this cycle. There is a dashboard that I came across during my research, which was basically showing me some low cap RWA coins. I don't know. I have less faith on the long tail. So do it at your own risk. There is only one token that I've identified. So they have a bunch. They have Centrifuge. They have Goldfinch. Maple is now Syrup, guys. So we've already covered this. But they have Factor, they have Rio, Trade, True, and BST. The only one that I've looked, I looked at Goldfinch way before, but unfortunately, they've just lost steam completely. But Centrifuge, I did look at. And Centrifuge is also looking at, it's an interesting chart. It's kind of trending upwards now. It is looking very, very good. And what Centrifuge does is they offer this platform and an RWA launchpad. So basically almost $1.7 billion worth of RWAs have already been launched. This is everything from real estate tokenization to tokenizing artwork, to whatever lies in between, institutional, private credit, government securities, or anything like corporate bonds or whatever. So it's like kind of this, Amazon kind of Amazon for RWA offering, which is kind of cool. So I like Centrifuge. I did like it. I also like where it is in its cycle right now in the chart. So yeah, keep an eye on Centrifuge as well. I will leave this RWA dashboard for you. One thing to note here is, whatever your individual choices, I do see, the holders of RWA token is up and to the right. Unit interaction with RWA tokens is up and to the right. Something, to look at. Monthly DEX volume for RWA tokens increased quite a bit, and since is still higher than what they were in the 2021 level. So clearly there's more interest than, the last cycle. So this is positive momentum again. In the end, I just wrap by saying that we're sitting at a very interesting and juncture of the market. The bull market is not here. In the last video, I said the bull market, or even the altcoin market, not the bull market, I'm sorry. We are in a bull market. The altcoin market is not here. Yes, technically, it's right to call Ethereum an altcoin, but Ethereum now has digital asset treasury. Ethereum has an ETF. Ethereum has institutions coming on it. Ethereum is getting mainstream market adoption with the Genius Act and all of the stablecoin things that are happening there. So I would treat Ethereum kind of outside the overall altcoin market. And one thing very quickly that I also want to show you, of late I've started to believe more and more with, or kind of agreeing more and more with both Ben Cohen and Miles as well, Miles Torcher. And if you look at what they say always look at your alts against BTC and then against ETH. So if you look at alts against BTC, what's happening? Like most of them are green. Why are they green? They are not green because they are fundamentally outperforming or doing really well. They are green because ETH is outperforming BTC, right? So what's going to happen is now we're still going to see August to be really good. But then we're going to see some kind of correction if the 4-year cycle is true. If a big if, right? And so far, no indicator tells me the cycle is different. I know a lot of people claim the cycle is different, but why is the cycle different? What has changed in the cycle? If you look at the 4-year cycle from 2013 to 17, 17 to 21, and 20 to 25, maybe we are a month off at best, but it's playing out exactly how it did before as well. So 2025, the big wave, I still believe is going to happen in Q4. I still feel it's going to be BTC, then Ethereum. Ethereum has already started outperforming. And then all I have to do is wait for relative strength. What is that? I just have to wait for, seeing how these alts perform against ETH, right? Because that will tell me when the rotation has started happening. So you can still see like XRP barely above ETH, right? Although, right, like in the last 17 days, 7 days, or even the last 30 days, it's down against ETH. BNB is down against ETH. Solana is down against ETH, right? Cardano has starting to move up against ETH. Doge is down against ETH in the slightly longer time frame. Tron is down against ETH, right? Hyperliquid is now starting to show a little strength against ETH. Chainlink decent, but still lagging ETH. XLM lagging ETH. Sui lagging ETH. So clearly the market is still at the Ethereum levels. Ethereum is doing really well against BTC, but the rest of the market is not. But because Ethereum is doing, when I look at this when I do this analysis of alts with BTC, right? Let me just open. When I do this analysis with BTC, you will see everything is pumping. Why? Because Ethereum's strength against BTC is causing, XRP, although not that strong against BTC. But look at BNB. BNB is strong. Sol is strong. ADA is strong against BTC. Tron is strong against BTC. Hype is strong against BTC. Link is strong against BTC. Bitcoin Cash, nobody gives a shit about Bitcoin Cash. It is up against BTC. Avalanche is up against BTC. So you get the picture what I'm trying to say, right? So wait for that correction. That correction will give you an opportunity, and I think RWAs are an excellent opportunity for you to really make that upside, because there has to be some tailwinds, there has to be a strong narrative, and there has to be demand. I've shown you all three. I hope you enjoyed this video, guys. If you did, don't forget to smash that like button, because it really helps with the distribution of this channel, and I'm trying my best to bring you the best alpha as I can. All right, guys, before I wrap, two incredible videos that I recorded this past week. There was one on Base, because clearly I think Base is becoming the Solana of Ethereum, the home of tokenization of Ethereum for all kind of weird assets. So if you're into it, here's my video on the best coins on Base. Now, I feel like Sui is incredibly, positioning itself as the Solana of as the new Solana, not the Solana of, because it's an L1. And I think it's also a very interesting project, because it's one of the only move-based technology stacks that's actually working. So I have a bunch of like really cool Sui tokens that you should look at. And if you haven't watched this video, here it is. Okay, folks. Okie dokie. Sayonara.